Should you call somebody back when they've told you not to call them back? You're trying to earn their business. What about someone who doesn't return your calls? And what about the person who's mean to you? What do you do? Hey, look, the answer is simple. Before I answer it, got to ask you a question. And the question is, do you believe that your product or service is the very best thing for your prospect? Because if you don't, there's no reason for you to continue on. You should not call this person back. You should, in fact, if you have your own business, if you're an entrepreneur, you should improve your offering. Or if you work for a company, you should talk to management and get sold on your product and say, hey, look, why are we better than competition again? And if that doesn't work, you need to go work for some other place. You need to stop that job, go work for the competition if they have a better product or service, or go do something else entirely where you believe in the product so much that you believe that people should go in debt for it. That there are legitimate reasons to go in debt. You believe that this is something worthy of them going in debt for. You believe that this is the best thing for them. It's head and shoulders above the competition. And if you don't believe those things, then you need to go get on the board with something that you do believe in. Okay, with that being said, what you should do is to continue on. Everyone knows. Don't we all know? Haven't we heard enough biographies and autobiographies to know that persistence, not talent, not ingenuity, not IQ, but persistence, dogged determination is the number one quality of the successful people? We know this, right? Well, since we know this, we need to put it into action by persisting on. Because the reality is that your prospect doesn't know what tomorrow's going to hold. They can't say, don't call me back tomorrow, because they don't know if they're going to want this tomorrow. People think that they have a free will, but if you want to study philosophy, this is a hotly talked about subject. It's debated, it's things like that, but almost everyone agrees in philosophy that we don't have a free will like most people conceptualize freedom. We're inherently, basically, dependent upon and highly influenced on our biology, on our external stimulation, on what happened to us before the time that we make a decision. If you want to read on this, I would recommend Robert Cialdini's books on persuasion, and he has a really good one on persuasion, and you'll see that, unfortunately, we're not as autonomous as we like to believe that we are. And actually, there's a lot of philosophical writings on this. And let me give you an example of it real quick. There was a study that Cialdini talks about where the group of researchers wanted to do some social sciences. So they did a study. They took a young man and they gave him a script, and they had him ask young women at different parts of an indoor shopping center, a mall, for their phone number. Ask these young women for their phone number. And I can't remember exactly the places, but there was something like he would ask the young women right after they passed by a flower shop, a lingerie shop, a candy shop, and let's say a home decor shop. And he would say the same thing every time because they wanted to judge the accuracy. So let's just say they asked 100 women at each location. So that's 400 women, 400 attempts, same script, same guy. Where do you think the women gave their phone number the most? Well, the improvement after they got asked from the flower shop was so dramatic that they published the study. I mean, who wants to hear about it? It became kind of known of the significance of this study, so much so that Cialdini talks about it and other people talk about it, that it's pretty interesting. Well, why? Well, women relate flowers with romance, with something new, a new opportunity. It's what you do when it's fresh and exciting. Well, when they walked by, it went up dramatically after they walked by the flower. They didn't even go to the flower shop. They just walked by it, so it was in their peripheral. So this is very interesting, and there's a lot of other examples of this. It's a really fascinating study. Go read the book, Persuasion, and you'll see that we don't really make decisions as freely as we think we do. As a matter of fact, what you eat can greatly influence your decision making. What happens changes your decision making. There's probably things in your life now that you didn't ever think would be in your life. That's because you changed your mind about things. You might believe things now that you didn't always believe, that were diametrically opposite, opposing to what you believe now. I know I do. I know there's things in my life that are here now that I never thought would be here. Well, somewhere along the way, I changed my ideas about things. And so people don't know the future. They don't know what's going to happen to them. The way you sleep can affect your decision-making processes. So let's say you're selling like our sales training platform. You're calling on a company, they say, no, we don't want training, don't call me back. You call him back the next day, but this time he gives a different answer. He's like, okay, well, what is it again? Let's talk about it. Well, what you didn't know is that one of his new hires blew a potentially big deal. And the reason he did that is because he didn't close them. And when he didn't close them, they went with a competitor who was not as good as what they offer. But they went with a competitor because the competitor closed it. But the new sales guy, he never closed it. He just gave him an estimate and the price. He never asked for the order, which, by the way, is a big problem with most salespeople. They never even ask for the order. So he did this, and they lose this account because they went with someone else, and it could have been a big deal for the company. So he calls up again. He realized that the guy didn't even know to ask for the order. And so while he knows how to sell, he realized that there's a lack of training with their salespeople. He calls in again. Our rep says, you know, we can increase your sales. And he's like, well, yeah, let me take a look at that. It's because everything changed. Had you not called again, you would have missed that opportunity. The guy, it wouldn't have been fresh on his mind. They would have just said no again had you not called back. If you want to make your work easier, don't just always look for new leads. Nurture the ones that you have, these prospects that you have who are not ripe yet. And I indicated ripe is an acrostic I made up for real, interested, positive, and eager. They got to meet all those criteria for them to be a good, real prospect, for them to be ripe, like a mango, like a piece of ripe fruit. Well, you want that fruit to be ripe and ready to eat. And a lot of that has to do with external stimuli. So keep following up with people. Call them back. Send them another message. And also, maybe they don't like to be called. Maybe you reach out to them on LinkedIn. Maybe you email them. Maybe you text them. Try all of it, not just one thing. And if you called 100 people yesterday, you don't need to look for 100 new people the next day. You just need to call back the people that said no. You need to call back the people that you couldn't get in contact with, and also try emailing them, try texting them, try reaching out to them on social media. And you don't just have to call them every time with your offer. You can be valuable to them. Hey, I saw this article. I think it would, it could help your business. Hope you enjoy it. Have a great day. You could do those things to nurture your leads. So follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. Because you won't get the opportunities that you don't even initiate, that you don't take. You'll miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, right? We've all heard that, but it's true. Persistence is the number one key. You don't even have to be that great at closing the sale. You should be. You don't have to be that great at it. You don't have to be that great at enthusiasm. But if you're persistent, if you got a big pipeline, it can make up for your lack of skill in these other areas. So just be persistent above all things, and you'll do well. I'm Aaron Jenks. I'm here to help you, here to support you. Over and out.